finished my 214th and final Wainwright Fell way back in 1984, and although I've picked up a couple of the Outlying Fells since, I never fancied completing them. Now, over 40 years later, I've got this crazy idea of finishing the Outlying Fells. I've no idea whether I'll be able to do it, but I won't know until I try. Today's walk is Whitbarrow, and then later on I'm going to try Staveley Fell. You might be able to see Whitbarrow behind me. I've tried to take the easiest route I can find, which starts just here opposite this school, Oversand School, which seems to be quite busy. Right, we head off down this lane, which is a public footpath conveniently signposted to Whitbarrow. Well, Whitbarrow looks quite impressive up ahead. Looks like a steepish climb. It's quite different from all the other fells, being made of limestone. Well, we come through that gate there, which is quite a tight squeeze, and then head off across the fields. Well, there's Whitbarrow up there looking quite imposing. Doesn't look an easy way up, but of course we'll contour around, I think. And there's a surprise. Well, it's tempting to carry straight down this path, which is what I did originally, but my route goes over this stile across the edge of the playing field, and then just head behind the goalposts. And into the woods. Surprising how dark it is in these woods, although the camera will compensate. Quite muddy as well. Well, it looks like most of the uphill bit's going to be in the woods. Still going up there, and we've come up quite a way there. No doubt it'll open up when we get past the woodland. You come to the first bit of the limestone escarpment, just here where the path goes up, and then there's some limestone scree up there, indicating that we've climbed a little bit higher. It's quite pleasant, easy path, although quite a few rocky steps in places. It's always quite astonishing when you've done a climb through woodlands and you come out and you realise exactly how high you've climbed. Now that's probably 10 minutes or so climbing, and we've got a great view already. Well, just 100 yards or so from that viewpoint, looks like we might be in for a change of scenery soon, because we go through this gate here, or through this stile. Different kind of woodland beyond there, I think. And that's it, out of the woods to some lovely silver birch trees. And all of a sudden it's very different. And of course, views. There's a lovely level path here, which is actually heading away from the summit, but we're doing that so we can just contour around to the right and stay on the same sort of level contour without climbing up the hillside. Obviously it gets windy up here, but the trees seem to have just about survived. The faint path curves off to the right here with a cairn there, just past those windswept trees, and carries on up here. There's a cairn, I think, up on the skyline there, although that's not the top, it's a bit further on. Well, this is certainly different to all the other fells and the outlying fells. It's much more like walking in the Yorkshire Dales, sort of like around Munham Cove, although nowhere near as dramatic as that. Well, I was thinking that's a very big cairn for a way marker, and then I wondered whether we're actually near the top, but going past it, it looks like we are near the top, but that's not quite it. And there's a plaque here to commemorate Canon Hervey, founder of the Lake District Naturalist Trust, and one of those who gave birth to the Lake District. Well, it's a very nice summit. I think I'll sit and have a rest and contemplate over here. Well, this is Lord's Seat, the summit of Whitbarrow, so that's another outlying fell ticked off. As I've said on the way up, it's quite different to all the other fells, being a sort of limestone escarpment, and there's some nice views from here as well. Of the dozen or so fells that I've done so far in this trip, the path up here is probably the rockiest of all. It's not particularly dangerous, but it's over limestone rock, and I should imagine it'd be quite slippy in the wet. You need to be a bit steady on your feet and watch where your feet are going, but other than that it should be fine. We're going to have a look round now and then make our way down in a sort of circular thing, so this is not an up and back, this is a nice circular walk. Well, Whitbarrow is quite a busy fell. There's been about half a dozen people passed by since I sat down. So not for one if you like your solitude, but a lovely one if you just want a decent short walk. Now we're heading down. There's several ways down off of Whitbarrow, but coming this way you really can see the limestone escarpments. Well, there's some obvious paths up here and some not obvious paths, but I found my way back onto the actual path I want to take, and we've got a cairn there to show us we're going the right way. With all this limestone about, it's hard to tell what's a path and what isn't a path. Well, I've got a path marked on my commute map, but there's not really a path on the ground, so no matter of just heading towards these trees if you want to come this way round. Of course, you're free to go off in the opposite direction and make a longer walk of it. Once you get into the trees, the path's obvious. Beautiful silver birch. Of course, what went steeply uphill at the beginning, at some point needs to go steeply downhill. So back through the woods. That's sort of interesting. No cyclists. Well, if you have got a bike, you're braver than me if you go down there. But if you are an old timer like me, take it steady coming down this bit, because it's very easy to slip on all that scree. And we're still going down, although the path's eased off a bit here. We finished that steep descent over the sort of scree covered path, and we're still in the woodlands going downwards, but it's a lot less steep now and a much easier path. Well, we're down on the level now, but rather muddy, so I think I saw a path back here. See if we can avoid the mud up here. Yep, someone's had the right idea there. It's getting to be an obstacle course now. And then this comes out into a glade, or what would make a nice parking spot if you want to walk up that way. And back on this road now, not sure how far. And that's the big building we saw from up the top there. I don't know whether it's a manor house or church or what. Well, that's what it is, with a slack hall. Must have a history. Wasn't always an equestrian centre. And that's where we've been up there. And this is where we started. I think it was about a mile on that road, which is bad planning on my part because I don't like walking on roads, so perhaps you can find a better way. Anyway, that's Whitbarrow finished. I'll leave you with the track, although I did have a few wanders off on the escarpment to look at the view, and a few wanders about finding the correct path. If you do want to do Whitbarrow, I suggest you find a way back down that avoids that long road walk. Okay, I'm off now to Staveley Fell. It's about a 15 minutes drive from Whitbarrow to Staveley Fell along some very narrow country roads, certainly not for those with a nervous disposition. Staveley Fell is going to be a quick up and back, and the best parking I could find was at Gummers How, where there's a big car park, and there's parking around the roadside if that car park's full. Unfortunately, the beginning of this is a walk back up the road. Just up the top of the hill we have to turn right here, which will take us to Staveley Fell. Across the road there is another path, and that will that goes to Gummers How. So you can do two of these quite easily. Sow How Lane, 100 yards. Well, this path essentially runs parallel to the road, just cuts off a bit of road walking. Well, you could, if you prefer, just walk up the road, take a right, which come out to this lane, but the paths are much more pleasant as long as you don't mind muddy boots. We've got to head up this lane now. It's about 200 yards walking up that road, and then we turn right onto a path. Well, so far it's been all forestry roads like this one with no view. Hoping it's going to change a little bit as we get closer to the summit. No hint along this road that you're actually climbing a fell. It's more downs than ups. If you like forestry, it's a good road. Now the summit must be off to the right of us. Well, my map shows an off-grid segment here, but it looks like a path, and this must go to the top. And the path follows this old wall now. I assume that goes towards the top. Well, it opens out now as we leave the wall. And we've got our first view of the walk. Down to Windermere over there. And it just looks like 100 yards now to the top. And there's a little cairn just over to the right there. The summit is, as you can see, probably see just behind me, but it's really windy over there, so I found a little bit of a seat in the lee of the wind. But I had to say, apart from that last 100 yards, Staveley Fell has been the least interesting out of all the outlying fells I've done so far, at least by the way I've come up. Fine if you peek back in, but if you want a little bit more of an enjoyable walk, probably best to find a different way up here. There's still a good view here, not so spectacular as many other peaks, but good views over Windermere, so we'll have a look at those. Now I'm going to go back down exactly the same way as I came up, so really I'll call this the end of the Staveley Fell, or the Whitbarrow oblique Staveley Fell video. So it's another 2 peaks back today, and I'll leave you with a track of this one, although it's not overly exciting. I'm sure you can find better ways to come up Staveley Fell.